Hello everyone, welcome to Rajeshwari's Commerce and Management Study Hub. I am Rajeshwari here. Let us understand today the preparation of the analytical table. In the previous video, we have understood about the royalty account and elements which are covered under the royalty account. So what do you mean by royalty account? It is a periodic sum. The leasee is paying to the leaser for the benefit which he utilized. Okay, it can be an patent, copyright, mining, books, trademark, right? Know-how. So that is royalty account. Here, prepare analytical table from the following details. Minimum rent is 20,000 per annum. Minimum rent is the guaranteed amount from the leasee to the leaser. Okay, it is also called as dead rent or fixed rent. Royalty payable will be calculated by multiplying with the output which have been given, that is 5 per 10. Short working can be recovered during the first 4 years of the leasee only. When you will call it as short working? Short working you will call it as when minimum rent is more than your royalty. It is called as the short working. Because he has assured you, the leasee assured you some amount he is paying before he is not able to reach the output, right? In the initial stages he may not be able to reach the profit which he has assured, so that time he will pay minimum rent, a guaranteed amount. So that is short working occurs during that period and that can be recovered given specified period of time. Here the timing is 4 years. The production for the first 4 years were as follows: 2007 2000 tons, 8 3000 tons, 9 4000 tons, and 10 4500 tons. Here is the analytical table. The analytical table is year, output, royalty, minimum rent, surplus. When you will call it as surplus, when your royalty is more than the minimum rent, then it is called as the surplus. Short working, when your short working occurs, when your minimum rent is more than your royalty, it is called as short working. This can be recovered during the specified period of time, and the recovered amount here we are recording, and the payment to the landlord. This is the format for preparing the analytical table. Let us solve this question. Year 2007, output is given 2000. 2000 into 5. Royalty is you are multiplying output into royalty. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿನ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್, ಪಿರಿಯಾಡಿಕ್ ಸಮ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ನೀವು ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ತಗೊಳಕ್ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತೀರಲ್ವಾ, ಈಗ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಮೈನಿಂಗ್ ಅಥವಾ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಆಥರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತೀರಾ, ಅದನ್ನ ಪಬ್ಲಿಷರ್ ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ royalty, some amount, they assured amount they are going to give per ton or per pieces, so that is called as royalty, and that will be multiplied with the output. Okay, minimum rent, it is the fixed, it is given in the question, always it will be given in the question. You are writing as it is, there will be no change in the minimum rent, it remains same for the all the years. Now surplus, there is no surplus. See here, ನೋಡಿ ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ 10,000 ಇದೆ, ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ 20,000 ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ is more than the royalty, so there is no surplus. But you have short working because your minimum rent is more than the royalty, so 10,000 is your short working. 10,000 is your short working. 10,000 extra ನೀವು ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಗೆ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ. ಇಲ್ಲೇನು ರಿಕವರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ರಿಕವರ್ಡ್ ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ. How much you are paying? Whichever is higher you are paying. The minimum rent, guaranteed amount, that is why it is called as the guaranteed amount. 20,000 for the first year you are paying to the landlord. Okay. Then next year it is 2008. 2008, what is the output? Output is 3,000. Then 3,000 into 5. What is your royalty? Royalty is 15,000. Minimum rent is same for all the years, no change. there is no surplus, but you have a short working, that is 20,000 minus 15,000, 5,000. You can't recover here. There is no recovered amount. Which one you are paying? Landlord, royalty or minimum rent? You are paying minimum rent to the landlord, 20,000. Then next, here 2009. 2009. What is the output? 4,000. 4 into 5, 4 5 are 20. 20,000. Minimum rent is also 20,000. No surplus. There is no minimum rent. If both are equal, 20 minus 20, nil it is. Now recovered, short working, 20,000 you are paying to the landlord. Now in the year 2010. Year 2010, 4,500 is the output. What is the royalty? 4,500 into 5 is 22,500. 22,500. Now minimum rent is 20,000. Now you have surplus because royalty is more than the minimum rent. What is the surplus amount? 2,500. So no short working. You can recover 2,500 because they said 4 years lease only. Within the 4 years you can recover. This is the 4th year. You are recovering 2,500 rupees. Now how much is recovered? Total short working is 15,000. Understand here. Here we will make mistake. 10 plus 5, 15,000. In 15,000, 2,500 you have recovered. Remaining balance is 12,500 is recovered. This is recovered by whom? Lease is recovered this 2,500. Now in 22,500, 2,500 is recovered. So how much you are paying to the landlord? 20,000 you are paying to the landlord. That's it. See how simple it is. Just you need to understand this. I'll repeat. Just understand. Now in the first we are recording the year. Then we are taking output. Output into royalty per ton we are multiplying. Then we got royalty. Minimum rent is given. There will be no change in minimum rent. It remains same for all the year. There is no surplus. When we will call it as surplus, when royalty is more than the minimum rent, we will call it as surplus. So there is no surplus. So it is nil. And short working. Short working is when minimum rent is more than the royalty is called as short working. So here we have a short working of 10,000. Now whichever the guaranteed assured amount you are giving to the landlord you are paying, that is minimum rent, 20,000 you are paid. Then in the year 2008 the output was 3,000 into 5, 15,000. 20,000 minus 15,000, 5,000. Again you are paying minimum rent only to the landlord, 20,000. Then in the third year it is 4,000 into 5, 20,000. Both the year it is same. There is no surplus. There is no short working. And the royalty amount you are paying to the landlord, 20,000. Then in the year 2010, the output was 4,500 into 5 we got 22,500. Minimum rent is 20,000. So here surplus is occurred. Surplus is because our royalty is more than the minimum rent, 2,500. Then there is no short working. We can recover 2,500 because excess you have paid, right? When there was output was less, your royalty was less than the minimum rent, you paid a minimum guaranteed amount. So there is option for you to recover that loss, right? So that 2,500 here you have recovered. Okay, how much is recovered? So you are supposed to recover 15,000. This is the short working amount. 10 plus 5, 15,000. Out of 15,000, you have recovered 2,500. Irrecovered is 12,500. That is 15 minus 2,500. And here, see, 22,500 you are supposed to write. But because you have recovered here, this you are minusing. 22,500 minus 2,500, remaining 20,000 you are paying to the landlord. Right? Yes, let us solve the one more question. Prepare an analytical table of royalty from the following details. Minimum rent 10,000 per annum, royalty 1 per ton on raised. Short workings are recovered during the first 3 years of the lease only. So during 3 years you can recover the short working. The output for the first 4 years was 92,000, 91, 5,000, 92, 15,000, 93, 20,000. Let us solve this one. What is the year? It is 1990. Output is 2,000 and royalty is 1 per ton. 2,000 into 1, it is 2,000. What is the minimum rent? Minimum rent is 10,000. There is no surplus, but you have short working. 10,000 minus 2,000, 8,000. Minimum rent minus royalty is your short working. Okay, short working is 8,000. Here there is no recovery. There is no recovery. Landlord, which one you are paying? Which one you should pay? The minimum rent you are going to pay to the landlord, 10,000. Okay. Yes. Next. For the year 1991. It is 5,000. What is the output? 5,000. Royalty is 1. So your royalty will be 5,000. Minimum rent is 10,000. So your short working is 5,000. Landlord you are paying 10,000. For the year 1992, 15,000. 15,000 into 1 is 15,000. Minimum rent is 10,000. So here you have a surplus. What is the surplus amount? Surplus is 5,000. No short working. And within 3 years you can recover. How much you can recover? 5,000 you have recovered. And what is the remaining balance? 8,000 plus 5,000 is 13,000. In 13,000 you have recovered 5,000. What is the remaining balance? 8,000 is a recovered amount. Okay. So this you recovered amount, and here you are paying 15,000 minus 5,000. 10,000 you are paying to landlord. Is it clear? Yes. In for the year 1993, 70,000, 20,000, 10,000. Okay. Surplus is 10,000. Minimum rent, here no short working. You can't recover because there is a permission only for the first 3 years. After 4th year, if you have surplus also, you won't be able to recover the short working amount. Okay. And whichever is higher you are paying, that is your royalty you are paying to the landlord. Okay. ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ ಜೊತೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಇದು ಡೆಡ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಇದೇನು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಆಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅದೇ ಎವ್ರಿ ಇಯರ್ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸೇಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸರ್ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ಗಿಂತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅವಾಗ ನಾವು ಸರ್ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀರಿ. ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗು ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದು ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀರಿ. ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ನ ರಿಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ರಿಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫೈಡ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಮೆನ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಇಯರ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ನೀವು ರಿಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ರಿಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಚಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ರಿಕವರ್ಡ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಶೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಸೊ ಪೇಮೆಂಟ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ವಿಚ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೈಯರ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಡ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ದನ್ ದ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ರೆಂಟ್ ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಪೇಯಿಂಗ್ ರಾಯಲ್ಟಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಟು ದಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಡ್ಗೆ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಐ ಹೋಪ್ ಯು ಆಲ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟುಡ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್. ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಡೇ.